We are very proud and pleased to welcome Mr. CJ Hopkins, US-American author, amongst us in Berlin. We greet you very much here from our editorial office, our hidden editorial office here in Berlin-Neukölln. Very warm welcomes to Mr. CJ Hopkins. How's the weather?
Yeah, it's a little too warm, but it's okay. Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
It's a great honor speaking to you, book author, artist, philosopher here in Berlin. And now, what has happened to you according to your books and the police of the Federal Republic of Germany shortly? What is it? What have they done to you?
Well, on Wednesday, the police arrived. Wednesday morning, the police arrived at my apartment and hammered on the door, as the police do. And I was asleep at the time. I'm still trying to recover from a very long, intense road trip that I took. It was a book project, and I was traveling all throughout the United States for 7 weeks in a car, which was very, very exhausting. I was still asleep when the police arrived. My wife answered the door, and the 3 policemen had a search warrant to come and search my apartment, looking for evidence that I wrote and published my previous collection of essays, The Rise of the New Normal Reich. It was my essays from 2020 and 2021. So the search warrant says they were looking for evidence that I am the publisher and that I sell this book, that I distribute this book, and also that I own and operate my blog, the Consent Factory blog, which is very strange because all of this is public knowledge. It's all right there on my website, and I have admitted this in court. So there's no question that I wrote and published the book, and there's no question that I own and operate this blog. Nonetheless, they came and they confiscated my computer. That's it. That's basically what happened on Wednesday. I think maybe some people watching this will be familiar with the fact that I have been previously prosecuted for using the cover art of the book, the same book, in 2 tweets to oppose the COVID measures. I was prosecuted for that in, I guess, 2023, 2024. I was first acquitted by the Amtsgericht, and the prosecutor appealed, and then my acquittal was overturned by the Kammergericht. And now that case, we have submitted it to the Bundesverfassungsgericht, and we're waiting for a decision from them. So this is regarding the same book cover, but this is a new criminal investigation that is based on just the book itself, the fact that I wrote it and published it and that it is being distributed. So that's basically what happened.
So that's what's happening in the new Normal Reich, in the FRG of the present since March 2020, with the state of exception, which is more or less going on since then, and which is paused meanwhile since 2023, as it by the looks. But yet, book authors from the US, doctors, lawyers, journalists, get intimidated exactly that way in hundreds and thousands of cases. So CJ Hopkins, CJ, we're very sorry and intimidated, embarrassed by our state here treating you that way. But apart from the moral ongoings, what's the next steps you could undertake, and how's your wife who was present, and how did the police do all that?
Yeah, my wife is very upset. I should probably back up and say, thank you. Of course, it's not your fault. It's not the responsibility of all Germans. And, I should point out also, the United Kingdom at this point is just as bad, if not worse, in terms of police crackdowns on speech, on free speech. So Germany is not alone in doing this. My wife is very upset. She's very sensitive about guns. And of course, the police are armed. And so, there were 3 police officers with guns on their hips in my apartment. And, she married a writer. She didn't marry a revolutionary. So, she doesn't expect house searches from the police. So, she's pretty upset. In terms of what we can do about it, my lawyer has, of course, objected to the house search and demanded the return of my computer. I'm a writer, and my whole life is on my computer, so the authorities, are now, I'm sure, reading through all of my personal affairs and notes and, emails and everything else. My lawyer has demanded the return of my computer and objected to the house search and has requested the new criminal case file because we don't have the details of the new charges that the Berlin state prosecutor is making. Once we get the details of the new investigation, then we'll respond to that. Unfortunately, I think of course, my lawyer will try to get the investigation stopped because it's ridiculous. But I don't think that matters anymore. I think it's pretty clear that the German authorities will do whatever they want, and they really don't care about the law anymore. They're just using the law to intimidate people. He will try to get the investigation stopped, but if not, then it will probably go like last time, and I'll go to trial in the Amtsgericht, and then who knows, maybe there'll be another one after that.
It's now the second case, which is linked to this cover. What kind of cover is this that the German government is starting 2 cases against an American writer living in Berlin? What kind of cover is this?
It's really kind of crazy because again, people watching this might remember, or if they don't remember, they can look online. There was an infamous or famous or well-known cover of Der Spiegel, right? Der Spiegel printed the cover of one of their issues, and on the cover was a big, giant swastika covered by the German flag, right? At the same time, Stern also published an issue. On their cover was a big martini glass with a swastika floating inside of it. My book cover, it's a long story, I'll make it short. My cover artist and we copied the cover of a very famous book, an international bestseller by William Shirer, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. And on that cover is all black with red lettering. There's a little white circle underneath the title with a swastika in it. It's the history of Nazi Germany. So we copied that cover and we put a COVID mask, one of the medical masks, over the top of the swastika. So you see the COVID mask, and if you look, you could, oh, what's that behind the mask? And there's the white circle with the swastika. Obviously comparing the authoritarian, totalitarian measures during the COVID years to the rise of Nazi Germany and how the Nazis came and took power. Again, it's not specifically connected to Germany. In the book, there are essays about the United States and the United Kingdom and Australia, and Canada, and the whole world. Anyway, that that is the cover of the book. It's kind of crazy that I have been prosecuted for this and that I'm being investigated again when the only difference between the cover of Der Spiegel with the swastika and the cover of my book is Der Spiegel was comparing the AfD to the Nazis, and I was comparing the German authorities and their behavior during the COVID years to the Nazis. So obviously the symbol itself is not a problem. People who have studied the law, studied what is it? Is the Strafgesetzbuch or something? Yeah, the paragraph 86A, which people are always surprised. I don't have a problem with this law. I don't want to see, neo-Nazis running around waving swastika flags. The reason I don't have a problem with this law is that the exceptions to the ban are very, very clear in the law. And they apply to Der Spiegel. That's why Der Spiegel is allowed to print a big swastika on the cover. And they also apply to me. But apparently the German authorities don't think they apply to me because I'm making the wrong comparison.
Exactly. That reminds us of two cases at least. Number one is Professor Rudolf Bauer from Bremen, who as a professor, a university professor, works as an artist as well during the weekends or whatever, and he's doing in the art, in the ways of John Hartfield, collages, so pieces of art, where he combines different sort of pieces from newspapers, from reproduced artworks and so on, and puts them together. And some of them show, for example, Ursula von der Leyen, the leading EU commissioner and warmonger from the CDU in Germany, and symbols and ongoings from the so-called Third Reich. Well, that's provocative. That's maybe only partly true. Maybe it's not true at all. Maybe Ursula wants to tell us, oh, it's been all a joke and so on. But he got charged for that. And he got a police raid too in Bremen, and he got a trial for it. It's clearly, that man is clearly an anti-fascist, and even if he wanted to be some sort of NSDAP member or so, he's born, I think, in the late 1940s, something like that. So he chronologically can't be a full sort of Nazi. It just doesn't go. And secondly, us and the newspaper of Demokratischer Widerstand, Democratic Resistance, which we're running as journalists since 2020, we got, for just one example, charged for posting a photograph, a journalistic photograph from Italy, where a demonstrator is putting up a plate that says, no green pass. And then the swastika comes, and that SS rune, like no green pass, like that fascist measures, we don't want that here. And they charge us for reproducing that journalistic photograph. So what does that regime want to tell us? They don't want to be Nazis, but acting like fascists, or what is it? How do you interpret the past 5 and 6 years? And well, respected, well-known journalists and writers like you being treated like that in the effigy of the present. What is going on?
I think it's the same message that the powers that be, and I'm not just the German powers that be throughout the West, but in this case, the German powers that be. I think the authorities are sending a very clear message, and it's a message of intimidation. They're showing very clearly that they do not care about the Constitution. They don't care about the Grundgesetz. They don't care about democratic rights. They don't care about the rule of law. The message they're sending is very clear. They're saying we will instrumentalize the law. We will use the law, not even in a convincing way, but we will use it to punish anyone who opposes us loudly enough. They're not going after everyone, obviously, but as you said, I am hardly the only one. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of cases like this in Germany, and a lot of people who are not authors, are not public figures, who really have no resources to defend themselves against it. The message that they're sending is the same message that every nascent totalitarian regime sends. And that message is, we don't care about your democratic rights. We will do whatever we want. And if you disobey us, if you challenge us, we will hurt you. We'll send the police to your house. We will prosecute you on ridiculous charges. We don't care. I think that's the message.
Why? What do these people want?
This gets into a longer analysis that I don't have time to go through in great detail. People who are familiar with my work, you know, when I titled the book, you know, The New Normal Reich, again, I wasn't talking about Germany. What I was talking about is what I believe is the global system that we all live under, all of us here in Germany, in the US, in the UK, in Russia, in China, everywhere. And that system is global capitalism. I have a lot of conservative readers. They don't like it when I say capitalism. I have no problem with capitalism. If any conservative people are listening to this, I'm talking about the global capitalist system that basically took over the entire world after the fall of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. Since then, since the early 1990s, we have been living in a one system, one ideology world. Yeah, this system does not have any outside adversaries anymore, no outside ideological adversaries. It has nothing other to do, it has nothing left to do other than wipe out internal resistance, any kind of internal resistance. It doesn't matter from the left, from the right, Islamic fundamentalism, Christian fundamentalism, it doesn't matter. Any type of resistance, it wants to wipe that out and consolidate its ideology. And I've been writing about this for many years before COVID, and all of this, I've been tracking it all the way through. I think what we're witnessing now, what we're seeing now, is just the latest stage of this system, this global system that we live in, evolving into a new form of totalitarianism because it has nothing else left to do. It's not 20th century totalitarianism. It's not going to look like the Soviet Union or like the Nazis. It's a new form of totalitarianism that we don't understand yet. I've been trying to write about it. Anyway, that's the context that I see for all of this. What's happening in the UK, what's happening here in Germany, what's happening in the United States. That's what I have been following.
As somebody from the left, from the United States, you probably will have an ambiguous relationship to the current government of the US. But did you get any support of the US government according to the treatment that the German government is giving you?
No, I haven't had any real support. I've had some vocal support, you know, on my recent book. You know, there are, you know, blurbs, you know, from J.D. Vance and Bobby Kennedy and Jay Bhattacharya and people like this. You know, J.D. Vance put a tweet out, you know, drawing attention to my case at one point. I'm not a fan of the whole "Make America Great Again" movement. And actually, I think it's very sad and unfortunate what is happening. It's something that I have also been writing about. And I see it happening here in Germany as well. I think, Elon Musk and a lot of the right-wing influencers are all part of the same thing. It's unfortunate. The short version of it is, for many years, I started writing these essays and writing political satire in 2016, because what I saw at that time was a right populist pushback against the advance of global capitalism, right? I don't think the right populists understood what they were pushing back against, but that's what it was. They were pushing back, and I thought this was interesting. And for a while, I was right there with it, because they were challenging the global capitalist system. Unfortunately, so many of the leaders of that right populist movement, and so much the energy of that right populist movement, has turned out to be, they've turned out to be hypocrites, and it's turned out to be hypocrisy. Yeah, and now if you look at the new Trump administration in office, they're suppressing speech, ignoring the rule of law, cracking down on people. I've analyzed this a lot in my writing. People can read about it, but basically what happened is the energy, the exciting energy of that right populist movement got captured and redirected and rechanneled mostly into ethno-nationalist racial hatred, which is perfect for the system, because now the system can say, look at the people who are opposing us. They're a bunch of racists and ethno-nationalists. And so, yeah, I don't expect a lot of support or help from the American administration. I welcome it. If they want to speak out, in support of free speech, great. I applaud anyone who speaks out in favor of freedom of speech. But I think it's very damaging when people use the principle of freedom of speech as a weapon, cynically, for partisan political purposes, and then demonstrate that they don't care about it at all by violating it themselves. What it leads to is then nobody believes in the principle anymore. And then we are really lost, because the only real defense we have, and a lot of people may not believe this, but the only real defense we have is to insist on our democratic rights. As long as the authorities claim that we live in democratic societies, we have to force them to act like we live in democratic societies. If we give up and we decide, okay, they're liars, they're hypocrites, which they are, but if we give up and stop demanding our rights, then we're screwed, because then we're really living in a totalitarian scenario, and we don't have the weapons to fight them that way.
So, but at least the US administration is doing something for you. They at least know your case. They know you exist. They know somehow how you got treated here in Berlin, the capital of the current German state. Yeah, again, we're very sorry. And I think it's time to, as much as we can, form some sort of ring around you in solidarity. And I think the left should do something here. I mean, the organized left, according to unions, according to journalists, unionists, and so on, as far as they're still working properly, and other authors, publishers, and so on. So the thing we can do is to ask you a bit more about your books. Where are they published? How can we get them? Are they translated in German already?
I'll tell you about my books in a second, but if I can just address what you just said, I'll tell you exactly what I think needs to happen. I don't think that the I don't think the Trump administration is going to help me, and I don't think they should. This in Germany, this is a German problem, and this is something that Germans should fix. I think the only way, there are people like you, and there have been people all along for the last 5 or 6 years who have been opposing this new authoritarianism in Germany. It's a large minority. I am very grateful for it. But we are not going to change this. The only thing that's going to change this is, as you said, when the larger left liberal unions, when the media, the mainstream media, starts doing its job and reporting on what's happening, not just to me, but to everyone, the way that the government is acting, if the majority of so-called liberal Germans, start showing that they actually care about democratic rights like freedom of speech, and that they actually care about the rule of law, they can put pressure on the authorities. Nothing else is going to change this. My books, I don't think any of them none of them have been translated into German yet. Someone's working on that now. They're widely available everywhere. Anyone, if you just put my name in a search engine, my books are distributed all over the world, just like any other book. They're easy to find. So people can find them online.
And also this dangerous book cover, did you change that, or is it still the same cover? And is this book with this cover still available online and ready to buy?
It's available online all over the world, except for Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands from Amazon. And in Germany, obviously, it is banned. The authorities deny that it is banned. That's my understanding. Journalists have investigated this, and I believe the authorities said, no, it's not banned. But of course, it's banned, or else how could it be the pretext of a new criminal investigation, right? So anyway, you can't get that book from a German bookseller, from a German bookstore, or online in Germany, but all my other books you can. And that book is available in the UK and Italy and France and basically every other country.
And it could get ordered from there.
Sure. It's part of why the German authorities are investigating me again, and why they came to the house, because they say Germans can still order the book, from other countries, and and you're still promoting the book in Germany, and of course I'm promoting my book. It's my book.
Exactly. So these people speak about a European Union and no borders and so on at the same time, trying to ban your book from us to buying it. So that's a good reason to buy. There are several other reasons. We're very honored to have had the opportunity to speak to a great author, artist, philosopher, and person here in Berlin. We're proud to have you here. We hope you're staying here. By the looks, you're doing that. Even though that's happening to you, it's great to have you here. Thank you very much, CJ Hopkins.
Thank you for having me on your show. Good to talk to you both.
Thank you very much.